Okay, everybody, it's 4 o'clock, August 9th. Let's talk about the order.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, approving the minutes, July 26th. Council meeting. Everybody read this?
Which date are you saying?
26. 26, it'll be right on top.
It is.
Any changes, additions, deletions?
Well, yeah, it seems to me that, excuse me, the discussion with Mr. Young is a little white on factual information about who said what. And the same with number 11. I hate to short John Patterson, but he was mentioned also.
The public comment is to address council, not to address people in the audience.
Yeah, I mean,
That doesn't make any difference to what they said.
Well,
Minutes record.
okay, we put in here what it was about,
Yeah,
but it explains what was said, what was not. So I don't know how much more we were doing. Did the gist of the whole thing? I mean,
pardon?
I don't know how much more you would want to put into this.
Well, just that John was mentioned too, the number 11.
John,
And the fact there were real questions as to the status of the facts. When John Young presented his part. These minutes, as usual, are woefully inaccurate.
hey, what do you want added in there, Martin?
Well, anything but what we have here, because it's almost nothing. John Young got up here and gave us a story.
Yeah,
We responded, or I responded
We
to that.
responded to this.
Yes, and that it was a fabrication and not truthful. And then I also asked that certain minutes be read.
Mhm.
You indicate, or not minutes, but emails.
Email.
You indicated council had told us not to read things, that page. said that. All right, I looked through her buildings, I didn't see any reference to anything like that.
Well, she
So
said.
those emails will be added once they are
Yeah,
approved.
the email.
The emails that you sent me will be added once they're approved.
Well,
That's what we agreed to. is
what,
to
yeah,
add.
what assurance do I have of that?
Well, Martin, before I sign the official minutes to be copied, I will be sure they're attached.
Okay,
And it says in F, 5F, that Councilor Lowenberger wanted to read emails from Don Kitzmiller, Baker County Building Department into the record. The emails will be added as part of the minutes.
because I was forbidden from reading.
Great, that's your assurance that they will be added.
Yes, what's your insurance for
And
that?
an assurance coming from City Hall is not getting great comfort.
Well, Martin, they will be added before I sign these minutes. So, I mean, all the minutes give you an idea. I mean, basically the discussion was, we were not going to renew the lease under the Wright House. Under public comment, we noted who stood up and made comments. We decided we're not doing these verbatim.
No, we aren't. Maybe we ought to look at Rebecca Patterson's there, full of more information.
Well, then you need to send us before council what you want added to these. When you say they aren't complete enough, we need to know what you actually want added. What verbiage?
On actual words, last time I did that, you wouldn't do it.
Well,
So I've made my point. I think people here realize that these minutes are generally a joke. So enough said.
okay. Either one of you want to add some crack comment on the minutes, if you want to change? Do I have a motion then to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the July 26, 2022 motion, minutes.
For a second,
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Martin?
Nope.
No. Okay. So then on to August 3rd. The special session. Any change to this, add solutions? Online? Do I have a motion to accept this one?
Make a motion to accept the special session August 3rd, 2022 minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion to approve. Moving on to reports. Kurt, fire department.
Okay. Currently, we're in extreme fire conditions. You can kind of tell that from thunder and lightning that is supposed to occur tonight at 6 o'clock. Full in, it's dry as we've been with all the heat and the wind. With that, I got a phone call today about mowing grass. No dry grass can be mowed or weed eated. So you know what that means. You can time it out after your sprinkler shut off, mow your yard. I got a phone call about a water truck filling up. Lady had to go pick her tomatoes early because there was somebody taking water out of a hydrant. And so I said, I don't know anything about it. She sent me pictures and all sorts of stuff with it. And I just said, I don't know anything about it. So,
When was that?
well, bring my phone in. It was probably hour and a half ago. Big, it's
Green.
blue, something high quality H2O or something. So anyway, I didn't know what to tell her, so I just basically said, well, they must have got permission. Training's going really well. And I want to thank all the fire personnel. I was going to check on the progress of the fire station that's coming up, Charlie. Oh, we talked about a fire station.
Oh, yeah,
a year
the
or
grant.
so ago.
Yeah, this is Oregon still has it on the list, but it'll be probably addressed next year. It's still in the works.
So let me get it from my fire station. I guess that's a serious, a pretty serious thing because lawnmowers can spark and that, but it's not that you can't mow your yard if you time it out right with your sprinklers. And then last council meeting, our pump repair came up. And so I called the repairman and I have his phone number here. He wants anybody interested to call him. And I want you guys to call him because he said just whoever wants to call. We did nothing to mess up the pump. That particular truck, I don't think is even ever hooked to the draft point because it's one of the very few in Baker County that's potable water safe. So it's usually, and I'm not going to say that at some time it may have got something in it, but it's very good. It might be raw water that's, but not ditch water. And our pumps are all set up to pump wherever, that's the good thing about Oregon. I can come in and pump out of your kitchen sink. That's the way the laws are wrote. So I don't need draft points set. I know where we can draft and it's any puddle of water in Oregon, we can pull water out of. The pumps are set up for that. the floating screens. Anyway, I want to give this phone number to you. If anybody wants to call the pump certification guy, 280-249-8707. He said the story was a little chunk. Story got a little mixed up.
I have a question for you. There's been concern about, the grounds getting too dry. What's your,
I would water it. If you're gonna have cars parked out in there in the next few weeks.
review of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
But there again, it's not just the grounds.
Mhm.
You know, the grounds is pretty, it's short now, so it's pretty good. You know, that's only gonna produce about a knee-high flame. It's some of these places, you know, 6-foot grass will produce 6-foot flame, 6-inch grass, so. It's some other places, that one there is pretty easy to, if we can get on it soon enough to put it out.
And if we put water on it, like short term, like.
I would, yeah, yep, if you got the water, I'd do it.
If we
For
have
sure.
water.
We don't have the water.
Yeah, well, if we have the water by then.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe it'll start raining.
You guys?
What you would be doing is somebody mowing grass.
I would just, if you see them mowing the grass, mowing or weed eating, if you could just, you know, kind of explain to them that kind of dangerous when your lawnmower's running into all the rock and all that out there, that most happens in Sumter. We don't have the perfect.
But we have a lot of people that aren't mowing their stuff. It's getting hot.
Oh, yeah, and
That's
that's,
a problem.
yeah, no, that's something for, you know, I put the fire out, I don't. So,
You don't start them.
I don't start the fire.
Okay.
But that is something, you know, and I think we've talked about it a few times, and letters have went out in the past, and we actually years ago did, you know, we'd go in and clean those lots and mow them and stuff, but then it got to be a deal with the funds, and because we can't do it for free, we can't take city equipment up there,
Sure.
you know, do it, so. But it is something that a letter or something like that should be. sent to certain-
I got it, Bert.
Are electric weed eaters now included with the gas?
I'm gonna say they're included.
Okay.
Okay, Tim, you're not, you're adding Tim on because he has a report. Water.
I want to address Kurt first on the non-chlorinated hydrant out here. We have shut it off at the street. There's no water to it. And the reason is the flow that we have coming from McCully Creek, we've been running our booster pump up here to keep the tanks and filter beds full. We're running the booster pump 24/7. And if anybody takes a draw on that line with a fire truck, we cavitate that pump, and until we get all the air back out of the line, we can't get it started again. So we have shut that fire hydrant off. And so if anybody needs or wants to give permission for any water other than a fire, if we have a fire, we're gonna draw from, like you said, anywhere. But if we need to, we'll fire up the cistern well out here to fill anybody's truck, whether it's a county or whoever. But if that fire hydrant wasn't shut off and somebody draws on it and we aren't aware of it, that pump will burn up there up at the.
No, perfect.
So,
They can't burn it up if the hydrant's shut off.
Correct. I just wanted you to know that it is shut off
Okay.
though, to draw from, but there is other means of getting water for, you know.
And we probably ought to shut that other one off that's off of that line too.
We could down there on, down in the hole.
Yeah.
down there.
So that way they can't pull on this side of the line. That's the only way.
Correct. It's real important though. I met with Brooks today and Levi, our water signer. And we went over all the valving and the project that's gonna take place to take the Redwood tank out of commission. And that's gonna happen as soon as Brooks can get the parts, all the parts to, and we are not going to dig in the ground for this operation. We are not moving the the electric control valve. The valve can stay exactly where it's at within the building, and they can make a loop inside there. And he's ordering the parts for that. And so there will be no digging. There will be probably a 3-man crew. It should be a hell of a lot cheaper than what the bid was in the amount of work that's gonna be done to make the same operation happen. So that's a real plus for us. And so as soon as they can get the parts, it'll be happening. And we don't know exactly what the availability is of the couplers and the pipe and the fittings and the elbows. But it's gonna happen. He'll make it happen as soon as possible. And he's working in Haynes right now, so they're close anyway. But there won't be the excavation, there won't be a vault put in, and the valve does not have to be changed. So the electric will not have to be moved either, which is a huge plus, huge.
Do we know what the savings will be?
What's that?
Do we know what the savings will be?
No, do not.
I'll get a hold of him because he did a revised contract. So I'll get a hold of him and ask him to redo it again.
And now that he's seen it, I mean, he hasn't been up here before, but after looking at all, and this was all, I do want to put all this on Levi's shoulders. He was the one that looked the whole thing over, and we're going over all the valving, and he said, you know, this is ridiculous that we're gonna try to dig in this area where there's 3 main lines and try to splice that valve in there, put a valve in there, when it can all be done right in that, there's plenty of room. And when Brooks looked at that, he said, that's the place to put it. They're both really sharp individuals.
So I keep up the loop there.
Yes, I do too. And then the only other thing is our sewer irrigation lagoon. We are probably Friday, we are real close. The level in the pond is as low as we've ever had it. And so if we shut down right now, or we get a power glitch and we can't restart because of pumping, we are good through the winter easily right now. So we're in really good shape on that. All right.
When are they coming up to do that test?
I'm not sure when that was scheduled. It is scheduled though.
And so the 15th is not, that date is changed for the tower.
More than likely.
Yeah, 'cause it has to
Yeah.
be apart.
And I think that's, but right now, we're struggling just to keep everything, we're just maintaining our levels of, the tanks are full. The filter beds aren't quite as high as we'd like them, but everything's full right now, but, and as far as if we get this valving in, there may be a good chance in, when I said, you know, about watering up there, at this point, we could not do it, but if we get that done in time, I see that we could probably more than likely throw water out, but we may even be able to lift the water restrictions at that point, so.
Nice.
Hoping, not guaranteeing, but
Yeah, hope.
yeah,
Any other questions for Tim?
okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Good news.
I'm hoping.
Okay, on to your business, pay the bill. Mr. Goslin?
All right. Got your cash statement report. We have 110,000 in the bank right now on a checking account. You see prior month collections are about 137,000. The vast majority of that came in from the grant into our LGIP, and it was transferred. Part of it was transferred into our bank account. The cannabis tax, we got that in this month, the last quarter as well. Expenses, just hitting the big ones. Core and main, just sewer supplies there. Page billed us for legal services. You got my bill in there, 2,000. Cecil, we paid them half of what we owed them for council's instruction. And Decode and Kiko at 5,000 and 63,000. That's part of the water project, and that is grant funded. And then Mr. Zweigert is here today to present the audit, and his bill is in there as well. If you flip the page, you see that our LGIP balance is 200,000 right now. A lot of that's the grant funding. Any questions on the bills?
Anybody have any questions for us?
The second page is also the appropriations review, which is a report I added in a couple meetings back. That just keeps us, that tells you where we're at on our spending of our budget. And of course, it's the first month of the year, so we are even close to going over budget at this point. That's all I got.
Do I have a motion to? Take the bill?
I'll make a motion to pay the bill as presented. Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay. Next, we have Jordan Swigert.
Yep,
He did our audit. He's here to explain the audit and if you have any questions.
sure, thank you. So like I said, I'm Jordan Swigert from Swigert John Associates. I'm gonna briefly go over the audit for the year ended June 30th, 2020. I'll just kind of hit a few points. And if you have questions, please stop me. I'm more than happy to go into more detail. If you open up in the bound copy, to number page 1, or page in with our letterhead. This is our report on your financial statements. So what this says is that we looked at the financial statements, we looked at how things were accounted for, and in our opinion, everything's materially correct. I mean, at the end of the year, everything was put together and reflected down. From there, I'm gonna jump forward to page 6. This is your balance sheet for your governmental funds as of June 30th, 2020. I'll just kind of briefly go over the total. Property tax receivable, $10,000, that's just back taxes that were still owed. That internal balance of 114, that's the cash balance allocated between the funds. That's just to make sure all of the funds balance on there. Accounts payable, 44,000 is just timing of invoices for the prior year that came in after the year end. And then payroll liabilities of 2,000 and timing of when those are paid. Any questions on that? From there, I'll jump to page 8. This is your income statement for those three. So you see, for the year, the general fund brought in just under $120,000 that year, spent about $130,000 or decreased its fund balance by about $10,000. Your water bond, that fund brought in about 47,000, spent 47,000, pretty much broke even like we would expect for that fund. The street fund brought in about 27,000, spent 102,000, or reduced its fund balance by about $75,000 in 2020. Any questions on that? All right, from there I'll jump to page 10. This is the balance sheet for your water utility fund and your sewer utility fund. Again, this is as of June 2020, so I'll just kind of hit at a high level. In total, those accounts had about $89,000 of cash in them. You had some receivables there, customer account receivable about 17,000. Below that are the capital assets. Those are just capital asset purchase that are stated at cost, kind of carried on there. On the liability side, again, some payroll liabilities, 2,700 there. Advanced deposits, 3,000. Those are just deposits that are paid that you're holding on to. And then current portion of note is 16,000, and below that, long-term 45. That's just the remaining debt on that fund. We'll kind of look at that in total later. Any questions there? Perfect. Turning to page 11. This is your income statement for those two. So you see the water fund had revenue about 132,000, had expenses of about 171, or ran a loss about 38,000. Your sewer fund had about 124,000 in revenue, about $83,000 in expenses, and then about $3,600 in interest expense. So it actually ran positive about 38,000 for the year. I'll turn to page 12. This is the statement of cash flow for those. About the fourth line up, you see net increase in cash and cash equivalent from the bottom. The water fund actually cash increased by about $17,000. And the utility fund cash increased by about $28,000. On the water fund, that difference between that loss of 38,000 and the positive cash of 16,000 is really depreciation expense on those long-lived assets. One thing that could mean in a perfect world, which I haven't had a city that exists in one yet, you'd be able to set that depreciation expense aside. So when those things fell, you had the money. So that's one thing that loss on one page, but positive cash means you didn't have enough coming in to be able to set that aside. Any questions on that? After that are the footnotes. I'll skip through quite a few of these. Footnote 1 is just kind of a high level footnote that goes over your accounting policies that you have. I will jump forward to page 21. This just shows where the cash was sitting at the end of the year. So if you look at the total column, cash and cash equivalent 60,000, that's cash you had in the bank. And then investments, just under 29,000, that's what you had in your LGIP, again, as of June 30th, 2020. Page 22. This just breaks out what was owed to you at the end of the year. You can see total there, that 10,000 of property tax. And then trade accounts receivable, that's your water and sewer receivables of about $17,000. There I'll jump to page 24. Page 24 just shows the debt that was outstanding as of the end of the year. So you can see you have your general series bonds there with about $678,000 remaining on that. And then you have your two water sewer bonds there. One was paid off in 2020, and the other one had about $62,000 left on it. And then below there is a table of the future minimum payments on those. Any questions on that? From there, I'll jump to page 27. On these last couple reports, we'll look at, they just show what was budgeted versus what happened for the year. So this one's for the general fund. So you can see your budget was for about $163,000 to be brought in. You brought in about $120,000, or about $43,000 less than was budgeted. And then on the expense side, you budgeted to spend about 165, spent about 130. Overall, you were under budget, but you did have some personnel services that were those line items were over budget. Turn to page 28. This is for your street funds. Again, you budgeted 211,000. I brought in 27,000, or about 184 less than was budgeted. A lot of that being from grants. And then expenditures, you budgeted to spend 229, spent 107, about 126,000 less. Again, personnel services and materials, those line items did go over budget, but in total, there wasn't. There, I'll jump to page 30. This is for the water fund. So here you budgeted to bring in about 40,000. You brought in almost 48,000, or about 8,000 more. And then you budgeted to spend 35,000, and you spent about 48,000, or about $12,000 more than was budgeted. And all of that overage was in the interest. The interest was just under budgeted what was spent for the year there. Page 31, the next page. This is your water fund. Here, you came in about $50,000 under budget on the revenue side. Brought in 132 instead of 182. And you were 77, or sorry, down the expenditure side, you're about $87,000 under budget on expenditures. You budgeted 193, and you brought in, and you spent 105,000 on that. And then page 32 for the sewer fund. Here you budgeted 584, but only brought in about 125,000, about 460,000 less. Oh, there we go. And that was grant funds brought in. So on the expense side, you can see it's very similar. You budgeted 632,000, brought in 67, around 573 less. Again, the grant money didn't come in, but the grant funds once. From there, I'll turn to page 33. So in the state of Oregon, in addition to just looking at the financial center, we also look at compliance with Oregon law and internal controls over financial reporting. There was a couple findings we had. One is you're aware. So we're working to get those caught up, but that's still late there. I'm turning to page 34. Like I said, some of the budget line items did go over budget, so the top of 34 shows that. And then the bottom of page 34, with control, there was an issue with controls for the year. Again, this is through through June 30th, 2020. As we looked at invoices and bank statements to make sure those were being approved. We weren't able to verify that for all of those. So there was control deficiencies during that year there, where we could not verify that multiple sets of eyes were reviewing and approving things. And so that's what our finding there on that. And it was 2020, so I don't think they've changed since then, but we have to report on the year that went along. So I know that's kind of a lot of information there quickly, but any questions for me?
Are there any specific things that we need based on this audit to clean up by adopting resolutions to borrow or transfer monies from one fund to another or to pay them back?
So as of, and again, this is as of June 30th, 2020.
Right.
So making any specific ones, you want current numbers for that, but the general fund and the street fund did have negative cash at the end of the year. Problem is the excess cash was in your water sewer fund, which is the sitting for water sewer, and you can't just move that out to the general fund. So that's not just a quick fix to be able to do that, but it's something that you do want to watch. As you're looking at those numbers that you get monthly, you know, trying to build back up those reserves as possible in the water, in the general fund and the street fund.
But don't we have to adopt resolutions to borrow for one fund to pay bills in another?
If you're wanting to borrow that fund to move it over, yes.
Okay, can you tell, did we do that?
No, not that I can see. Any other questions? If you do have questions later, my number's on the top of the letterhead. Feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to go over anything you have questions with.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on, we have several applications, planning applications. Rob, did you need to go over this letter that you gave us? Or is this just another info?
No, that's, so you have two engagement letters. One is from me to do continued accounting services. You have to renew that every year.
Okay.
And then the other one is from Mr. Zweigert, to see if you want him to do the audit.
Okay,
2021.
good. Do we have that release? Let's see this letter. Renee, do we have this letter?
I didn't print it. It was in the email. I emailed that out. It was the $10,000
Okay.
email.
Okay, I guess better do these first for planning. The first letter here is for Rob, if we want to continue to have him continue to do our book work. On your bills. Do you have any questions about his proposal?
I would read it, continue with.
Okay,
No fiction.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Just keep doing it. So one, I didn't print out the one who, so and I'll read it. Where was it, Renee, in the attachment?
Mhm. I sent it.
Yeah. Rob have his own.
Yeah, he's getting the paper copy.
Okay. So this is the fee here on the left page.
And so.
Okay, we have a proposal for him to do our budget year of 2021. And Our fees are based on the amount of time required at various levels of transaction out of pocket. We estimate that our fees of the audit will be $10,000 for the year ended June 30th, 2021. We will notify you immediately of any circumstances we encounter that typically affect this fee. We, whenever possible, we will attempt to use the city or center personnel to assist in the preparation of schedules and analysis of the town. This effort is substantially reduced our time requirements and facilitate the timely conclusion of the audit. So do we have an estimate of when that audit would be done at all? Do you have any estimate if we approve this, when the 2021 audit would be done?
And I know we talked about when is it needed for the, by the end of September. We
For
could,
the grant.
for the grant, if everything goes smoothly, my goal, it would be to have it done by the end of September.
Well, yeah, it should be a little more organized than.
Yeah, that's the hope, is that 21, everyone was kind of in place, and so things should be a little bit better, so it should go a little smoother.
So, any questions or thoughts on this? Need to get it done. Do we have a motion to accept the proposal to get it done, hopefully by the end of September, and then the fee will be $10,000? Do I have a motion?
I make the motion to have, I'm pronouncing it wrong, Swagger, do our audit for 2021 for the fee of 10,000.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, we get to do the next one too. Thank you.
Start getting less out, so we can work on that.
Okay, now on the planning. The first one we have is the Ballard. We asked them to, we sent it back because of their local lot lines, and their addition was gonna hang over one. And there's a thing from the county showing that they changed the lines. So it's now one lot, so it will not be encroaching on another lot. Any question?
You know, follow with it now, so on the one tax one.
Does, it's in a CR zone, right? And then what's the setback to CRs?
I think their setback is correct. 5 foot. From the street,
Corner lot,
from the end,
15.
yeah,
It's on the other side of the house.
yeah, and then
It's
and the
one
house is
big lot now. They
Yeah.
just did one.
Yeah.
It's corner lot.
it's 15 feet and 5 feet and 44 feet.
I realize that
Yeah.
the diagram,
Yeah,
the ordinance says 15 feet on a corner lot. And the original application, which was passed by planning, said it's for residential purposes. And so until we figure out what we're gonna do with the CR zone, we may already be in trouble for having allowed it to begin with.
That covers pretty much half the town. There's a lot of problems in town.
I understand that, but that doesn't mean compounding then is the thing to do. And so all I'm raising the issue on is, at what point are you gonna start doing it right? Because ballots, they made their application, it was passed. In fact, the planning members, one or two of them are sitting here. And it was inappropriate. They built, so they had reliance on that.
yes.
And now it's a corner lot. And they want to add on with a 5 foot setback, and it's 15 in the CR zone on a corner lot.
There, their setback is much farther from the main street. The one street isn't even constructed.
A corner lot is defined by two streets.
Right, but we can't ask them to move their,
No, but we can prevent them from building further in violation of it. And maybe we could ask, I don't know what we're gonna end up
I
here.
don't think we could ask, I think it's an existing building. Okay, any other? Marcia?
The back is 15 feet on the article.
The side lots, setbacks on corner lot are 15 feet to see on
On the side or in the back?
the corner lots on both streets is 15 feet. So that means it's 15 on
The North Street.
whatever street that is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's commercial residential, the front line is 0 feet, sideline is 5 feet on each side, except for the corner lot, and it's 15 feet.
And what are you reading?
This is the sheet we took off of there, it just makes it faster, you don't have to thumb through and make sure it's correct, it's just a cheat sheet.
But commercial residential isn't 0 in front. You read the ordinance.
On the front line,
Commercial.
It was changed in about 1992 to 0.
Where's that ordinance?
In the files.
I asked for a copy of every ordinance and I haven't received that.
It's a setback with which I happen to
I don't read
disagree,
the
but
1992.
they passed it.
Hmm?
It's 19.
Is it
I think it was about 1992. I think Elaine Lamprou was mayor at the time.
So that's one of the amendments.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have it.
I don't have it.
Have the IR one from 1992. Well, until we get that amendment, it's gonna have to.
I know that, are you going to make them move that building? You can't move. Like you
I-
say, there's too many of the, like, of places that are.
I realize that but it was amended to 0 in 1992, and we don't have the amendment as part of our pamphlet on that. We have to look at it.
It's been 5 years since I worked with it, so I might be a couple of years off.
We need to find it.
And that was the CR, the setback.
This would be included in Mr. Merritt's application, and it shows right here that it was amended, and it's a 0 setback. And here's the amendment, please. Can you produce the document? Not right now.
That's the pages off the document, they go.
Yeah, this is a copy from it.
And what's the number ordinance?
It was amended 1994 dash. That's actually part of Mr. Merritt's.
Okay.
On the next one.
Did we ask the recorder to make us each a copy of this right now?
Well, I have a copy of the whole.
There's a copy attached to the Merritt's
Yeah.
application that we your staff.
Okay.
That's we provided them.
Yeah, the front yard shall be minimum 15 feet residential and 0 feet commercial. Each side yard will be minimum of 5 feet. Side yard, street, should be minimum 15 feet. And there should be 10.
Right here. No, but you just.
Yeah, no, nice. Thank you.
Okay, well, I guess we should do it. Well. So what do you want to do with this one?
It's out of compliance if they have to have 15 feet in the back. On commercial residential property.
And it has to be commercial.
Mhm. So do you want to pass on this and do more research on it or what?
Can you have to? I know we're gonna start working on the ordinances. Tomorrow. It doesn't match the CR.
Okay, table that one for a minute. For the next meeting. Okay, we have Kim and Mike Merritt's house. They're removing an old manufacturer, replacing with new. What do you-
It's, is that the footprint of the snow shed or the footprint of the trailer?
The trailer.
The trailer, so you still have the snow shed footprint. I don't have a problem with this one, because it's the same footprint of what's there. Maybe a nice upgrade for next one. But we still come across the same issues on commercial residential. We gotta get that figured out.
Rather than have, if this is
Yeah.
commercial with a house in it, and it meets qualifications, I don't know.
Okay, so
What defines commercial?
Well, the geniuses who wrote our ordinances didn't put it in there very well.
So, I mean, what defines commercial, a business in there or?
A business, that's what the rule of construction statutes is, use the most common meaning. You know, and commercial is a business. And it says the residence shall be in the back and concealed from the street. So I don't know what's there, but from what he says, it does not appear there's a problem from setbacks or anything like that.
Well, there's not, I'm just trying to figure out the commercial residential, Ballard's are on commercial residential, they do have a building there that they sell things at flea market.
That's not a business, children. Yeah.
So what defines this piece of property as commercial?
Which one?
Merritt's property.
I don't know what he does there. What do you do there? What do you do at your property for business?
As a business,
Yeah,
I have numerous businesses that I run out of. I have a home business that I do jugwrench.com, which I manufacture wrenches and it's over the internet. And I sell fuel jugs and also have 7 patents on wrenches to remove the lid from those jugs. And then I also have a pressure washing business that I also run out of there. And I have sold stuff during flea market at that time also through a commercial business.
And it's full-time business.
Me, yeah, I mean,
There you go.
I've got business, yes, and it's not all based right here either, no.
Okay, so on merits, motion to pass with, well,
Well, I make the motion to pass the merit application.
okay, second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Patricia Downey. Herb, are you still here?
Yeah.
Yep, I'm here.
You showed the existing snow roof,
Yes,
but there's a trailer in there, isn't there?
uh-huh,
So are they gonna have two residents on this?
can't do that.
I know, so what are
Okay,
they,
so.
what are they gonna
please,
do?
When they get there, they're gonna live in that trailer till their house is built,
Okay,
and then the trailer goes away. Or the stove comes out. You can have two residents as long as the kitchen is functionable. You can have a cooktop, but not an oven.
okay.
But yes, they're not gonna, once they get their new residence,
They're
they're
not
not
gonna
gonna,
live in it. Okay.
you know, it's a
Well, this has been.
70-year-old trailer.
Yeah,
So my problem with it is it's probably overreaching. It's two tax lots, and the water and sewer on the one tax lot going to the shed is. And then they have run the water and sewer to the other tax lot to the old mobile.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, they own both tax lots.
Well,
And it's not, and this is just water and sewer, it's not a business. So unless they want to separate their own tax lot and sell it off, then if they decide to sell the one tax lot, then they'll have to put in water and sewer for the house. That's a given. But other than that, for the water and sewer, because it still is attainable to the building that they have already.
Yes,
So
well,
they can tie into it for now. And then if they ever decide to sell one tax lot, they'll have to put in a sewer and water service. But they aren't building over the line between the two tax lots.
and how do you monitor them in the future? If they sell
Comes
off,
through the city.
but no, if they sell off the one tax lot to somebody and they say, well, you know, I'll just pay you and I'll use your sewer and water to go.
Well, they still come through the city because we'll know when it's sold. You will, you should, because it's got to come through the city to be signed off before it's sold.
Piece of property has to come to the city to be signed off before.
Or how, we have to give a clearance on to make sure that.
Not every, if it goes through title company, yes, if it doesn't go through title company and they pay outright, then they just file it at the county, it does not come to the city.
And the title company will judge it to see if there's a city lien. There is no law that requires them to get city approved for that.
okay, so where are we on this one? Are we going to pass this one because they meet the setbacks? They're gonna live in the house until they get their new one. The water sewer line is appropriate for what they have. We're gonna do right now.
And it's, well, for us, for what we get to do, then I don't see a problem with it.
Snow roof stays in that.
What's that?
Snow roof stays.
No rural state, yes.
And will it park RVs under it?
Yeah, I don't know what though, I'm sure it'll be RVs, recreational vehicles of some sort, for sure.
So do I have a motion to pass this one? I want to pass it.
You know, well, this is residential, so it's not that big of a problem. We're gonna be addressing RVs
Mhm.
when we redo the ordinances, so I don't have a problem with this.
That's a motion to move forward on.
Yeah, I'll go ahead.
Yeah, wait a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Uh,
All opposed? Okay, Matt Armstrong. The Shock. Sunday 30. Looks like it has all these setbacks. On the third page. Any problem for this one? What is that? The setback on the side? 51. It's 51, 24, 5, 23, 25.
Yeah, I just didn't look like it.
34. Any issues? Okay, none.
I don't know, right?
So, motion to pass this one on.
Make a motion to pass the Armstrong's show.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Jean Valentine. Shock garage.
I think my only question is, he said he's gonna move the portable shed after the garage is built, the garage is gonna move the portable shed in. So is he gonna move that over and then put that? I don't know. I just looked at it and there's just what he said.
Okay, so he's got a 5-foot setback on one line, 15.
They must be moving it over.
Any problem with this?
No,
I have a motion to pass this one.
I'll make the motion that we pass Jim Valentine.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Opposed? And then Charles and Deanne's. Here, Charles and Deanne Smith.
that's the same footprint as the cement that's already in there.
This is being replaced.
They tore the house down.
Oh,
Built
on
house.
existing foundation.
Yeah,
So it's not exactly the same where it was.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
So does anybody have any problems with this one?
No,
Or do we have a motion to pass this one?
make the motion to pass, the Smith application.
And a second,
All second.
all in favor? Marcia?
Yes.
Martin? Opposed? And then I guess we have one more, Heidi Epworth. Putting a shed. And this is on the Bonanza Street. Residential. I don't have a call.
And North Bonanza or South?
Okay, it says. Bonanza,
Oh, must be,
it's right up by.
okay, it's on south.
Bonanza towards. Okay, so I have a motion to pass this one.
Make a motion to pass the shed application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Moving on. Resolution 414-22. You guys have it there. The general election ballot measure 109. We already read this twice. This is just to approve it to go forward to be on the ballot.
And this has to be approved today to get on the ballot, given time to get on the ballot, or we'll have
Yes,
psychedelic drugs and from.
yes.
We've already done.
We've only read the whole,
Yeah.
yeah.
No.
No, we don't.
We just have to have.
This is just to pass it to move it on, get it on the ballot.
I don't have a problem with it, so I'll make the motion to pass resolution number 414-22. A resolution referring to the voters of the city of Sumter, proposing a permanent ban on silo buying.
See what's side.
See by the related business.
All second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
In the future, you gotta have it, so you have to vote no, and get what we want done.
Okay. On the old business, we have the red tank that you guys have a copy of all of the guys' information, but, since they're gonna be here on short basis, I will call them and get a new bid and have it all emailed to you, since this is really gonna change.
Yeah.
We'll table that, and I will call him tomorrow, so we can get that right away. Employee handbook, we did a few changes to that. We have a resolution here to adopt in the city of Sumter employee handbook. Okay,
If I can find it. At one point, we were going to say, it was crossed out and changed,
here it is.
it didn't get in there, I don't think that we.
Under,
You know, I'm looking,
Oh,
yeah, under compensation,
no. It's Article 4. D, page 5, it was written in there, the city shall conduct criminal investigations. And now it says may, and I don't know,
we changed that during workshop.
to may do it.
Yeah,
See? And then the only other thing I found was paragraph for
okay.
it. The word on page 9B, the first line, word discretion,
Nine,
spell.
9B,
9B is in Bravo. Oh,
we changed that.
you did?
We changed it to read, under compensation, you wanted all that, a lot of that first sentence taken out. And so we changed it to just merit-based pay raises may be made at the discretion of, to do so, and then, okay, of the city council.
Yeah, discretion, that's Swahili spelling.
Okay. Okay, other than that, we. Here we go. I am.
if you need a copy of it, I make a motion to pass resolution number 415-22 with correction of spelling of the resolution. Or the.
Discretion.
Oh. And the stipend, wasn't that we may do it or we shall? do it?
No, we did. We didn't put anything about a stipend. We put in any event, a total of no less than 2% will be given at the beginning of each fiscal year. We did not put anything about the stipend, we did not,
Well, it says a financial stipend will be provided each pay. I thought it was maybe provided.
What are you reading, Mark?
I'm reading page 10, the top C training, third line down. Wait a,
Oh, there, no, it is. No, I just had one copy.
oh,
Is there a correction there, Michael?
yeah, I thought we said it may be paid, not shall be paid.
Yeah, so, what page is that again? 10. 10. So should be shall be, I'm gonna change that word also,
It should be may,
maybe.
it may be paid, yeah.
So we read, Marshall? You,
Yes,
okay, we need to make that correction too.
and got corrections.
Okay. Any other corrections to it? Okay, so, we
I
want,
would withdraw the first motion.
okay,
Make a motion to pass resolution number 415-22 with two mentioned corrections from Councilor Luber.
okay.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. So, is this employee certification stipend, is this what we were talking to Rob about going back, rolling back for the,
Last year.
well, we can't do that, we had wanted to make it roll back into a different budget year, and Rob said we could.
Well, it doesn't matter, as long as you're not over budgeting the current year, because it counts against the current year, not
Yeah,
prior years. The more room, I mean, if you choose to do it, I mean, if you choose to do it, that's, there's no prohibition on it.
okay, well, that was the question, because we did.
That's something you have to amend.
Unless you go over budget, then we would have to amend the budget to go over that.
Nobody's gonna do that much. So that was in regards to, Tim on a cross connection, you're wanting to go back to February first,
When he got his
when he got his certification.
certification, and that was in February, wasn't it? Yeah.
And the other one was when Renee got her certification. But that was back farther. That was back in April, right?
April of what, 2021?
So do we want to make a motion to go ahead and do that now that we know we can? We have tabled it. February. Do we have a motion to move forward on that or?
I make the motion to, pay the, mentioned stipend to Tim and Renee, retroactive to when they got their, certifications.
Good.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Okay, any councilors remarks, anything you guys want to bring up?
I do. I'm going back.
Me and you talked about those expenses. Maybe
Oh, okay. So.
Everything's all
Oh, they've
done.
got it all.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know if it's looking at the shops and houses, it's not complete for this receipt, so that's the other thing as well, which is in the area of or. And we're no.
Okay, I will. That will be tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Okay, under council's comments, I do have one thing to bring to you guys. Is we have 2 new EMS trauma medical responders, emergency medical responders. They have their bills, what they paid for the training and so forth. And we want to know if we consider this a fire department expense, which it would be, and if we will approve to reimburse them for giving their emergency medical responders to the fire department. And $300, 5 cents each. And I have received here.
There are 2 of them.
Yes. Albert Jones and, Mike, yeah, Manny.
At some point, are we gonna be able to combine what the, something volunteers has in their account for the fire department into the fire department books? We'll see.
That, even though the discussion, that we have actually been able to. Okay. So,
It's coming out of the fire department budget,
yes. It's coming out of fire department fund.
and I assume we have enough money in there.
Yeah, those line items were not explicitly budgeted in there. But I don't know, I mean, we have a lump sum in there that can be spent on that line item. If we get close to it, we can amend the budget if we have to.
Actually,
Why we should volunteer would pay for that, since they have that some money apparently.
well,
What?
Why should they?
Okay, guys, it's
Because they said that they help the fire department, that helps.
Martin, let's discuss this here. I guess we need to be sure we have the money in the funds.
It was, all I'm saying is we budgeted specific line items.
Yeah,
The appropriations are done at a larger level. So we take all these line items, we add them up, and that's the appropriated level. So even though you're overspending an item, in this case, we have $0 budgeted for that specific
For training.
expense. We may not spend everything we have budgeted in those smaller line items. And so in total, we wouldn't necessarily go over budget.
yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
We didn't put anything in
So it really wasn't contemplated at budget time when we do reimbursement.
reimbursement for training. So. Okay.
Doesn't mean you can't. It
No,
means wrong.
I mean,
It simply
right.
simply means you
Yeah,
didn't
it's just a
think.
matter of. So, thoughts,
I say it should be done.
these are our responders. Yeah.
They're more important than your fire trucks at this
Well,
point,
well, I
guys.
mean, there are first line if somebody has.
Yeah, fire truck ain't worth nothing, if you ain't got people running.
That's exactly it.
So do I have a motion to reimburse these receipted expenses?
I'll make the motion to give back the money to first responders for their training, up to how much? Up to $300 a piece.
A second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay,
So just to clarify for those guys, the checks will be ready for the next
okay.
meeting, so in a month. Is that
Right,
okay?
yeah.
All good.
That's good.
Yes.
They'll be
Yep.
just glad to get reimbursed, so, yeah. Okay. Any other council?
Yeah, I do. As we all know, some of us know, some of us don't know, Greg Lucas is back in town. However, he is not here. He hasn't gotten a hold of anybody in town, as far as city council, as far as I know, to find out where he is sitting as mayor. He's missed over 12 scheduled meetings. On with not being excused from them. He's missed plenty of workshops and special sessions. So with that being said, I want to make the motion that Greg Lucas is banned from being mayor and his signing rights are revoked for the city signer goes. And we leave Linda Wise in as acting mayor as she's been doing for the last 5 to 6 months.
Second your motion?
I thought we were gonna wait on that, just go along as we are with Linda in control. And then when someone runs at the new election, they can fill that position.
We do not have to, for the charter, fill that position. We can leave it
No.
vacant.
We can't, you're right, but that's what we talked about doing and agreed to do at that time. Apparently something's changed.
He showed up and didn't come in.
When he came back and now he's not here, Martin. This tells you that we don't need somebody to come in being in the mayor position and have things to say about our water and sewer. We've already lost grants because of him. We have another grant that was sitting on his desk when he left that he did not bring to the council and he did not bring for us to fulfill. You say we lost another grant because they had, was that a grant that came up after he started taking his vacation? The grant was before that, not after. Okay, couldn't Linda sign? No, because Greg took the reins this time. Linda's the one that's taken over a lot of these grants and gotten us where we are today, which is in the best public interest of the city. Not for the city council, but in best interest for the city, because water is an important part of the city along with sewer. And this was coming up just now, okay? Well, he did say that. Are you planning on wanting to refill or to fill a position? No.
No.
We have an election year. We've been running the city without him and we've been getting along just fine. I don't need him to step in. I do not want him to step in. What's your position with it?
I'm trying to stay neutral.
No.
my concern is he's going to try to come in and take over some of this stuff. And he doesn't follow through. But I've been doing the work, I will continue to do the work. And,
We're gonna leave the position open and let the electors go.
right, I will just.
So, okay, I'll support it.
Okay, that's a second, all in motion.
Aye.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. Any other council? Okay, public comment.
I'm Kimberly Ballard, and since you guys changed the rules, I guess I'll do it too. Martin Lewinberger, you said last meeting that if we went tie the lots together, there'd be no problem. So now, is your word no good?
I don't think I
Tie them
said that.
together.
Yeah.
So,
That's not what I said.
yeah, go back and listen to it.
Okay, but we can always check it because we have it on recording.
Yeah.
So
Let's check.
I will listen to the recording myself.
I believe he said it was a lot line adjustment, not putting both tax lots into one. Martin suggested tax lot or lot line adjustment.
I will listen to the tape. Any other public comment? John? Say that.
I would just like to assure council, the rest of council, that I fabricated nothing at the last meeting that I reported to you.
Okay. Any? Kurt?
I just got a simple one. Do we know what's going on with the road construction? Did that thing, are they still up there working, doing their thing?
Well, right now, they broke down on the pressure end. I don't know if the asphalt plant's here yet or not, but the road work has been done. It's prepped, it's ready to be paved, but I don't know if they've moved the batch plant in yet or not.
Okay. So it's not.
It's not actually wasn't supposed to be scheduled to be paid until September.
Right, and I'd heard if the oil prices didn't come down, they weren't even gonna do it then. So I was just trying to see if that was gonna be just gravel spots in the road clear to granite or not for next year, or if it was actually going on. It just looked like they pulled their sign and stuff and.
Well, the road,
Right.
they only
It's
have,
not open very well to a big old 1300 cruiser or something like that going up through there.
Okay,
That's all.
we need you to come up and stand up and
That was just in response to what,
stand up, please. So the camera, yeah.
we have some of the guys that are pretty high up in good shape that are staying with us.
Mhm.
And what they told us was that the rock was not the right size, and there was 30,000 pounds that they had to recrush. That's part of their
Oh,
dilemma and not having it exactly the way it's supposed to.
okay, thank you, Anybody else? Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
All in favor? Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I need a signature on my engagement letter.
Mr. Nate.